You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhage was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Hosang, first goal as an IceDog. Strom stops Shipley. Richie scores! He gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome into another Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara region locations. Ben Caputo and Cam Halbert are with you to break down the IceDogs 7-3 defeat at the hands of the Sudbury Wolves here on a Friday night in front of a sellout crowd of 5,300 at the Meridian Centre. Make sure to give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage. As well, thank you to those listening the next day in your favorite on-demand audio platform and those listening live on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel. Cam, this one's going to be probably a short and sweet one tonight, just due to the fact that we're back here tomorrow against the Kitchener Rangers, and secondly, just not a good effort all around by the IceDogs tonight.
Yeah, it was unfortunate because the crowd tonight was unbelievable, a sellout, and the energy was high, and it was just flat right from the beginning, and we've given the benefit of a doubt to a lot of the players on the team for maybe having off nights every once in a while. This just did. No one seemed to have the juice early on, and it wasn't until the third period when I think Sudbury just kind of let off the gas because they were up by so much. Was a pretty brutal night from Owen Flores, which we have not seen at all. And I don't think all of the goals were his fault, but he didn't really help them tonight, and it all just kind of fell apart in the second period, and it was a tough watch.
Yeah, we'll get things started here with our prep list brought to you by Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. You tried the rest, now why not try the best? Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving the Niagara community since 2013. Check them out at carmine'spizzeria.ca for the best quality pizza and wing combos anywhere in Niagara. Cam, quickly break down the lineup for us. Kevin He, the IceDogs captain, made his return after a 3-game absence.
Yeah, that was huge, and I think his energy and how he played was what you would expect from an energy standpoint, and we had the first line, Doherty back up there on the top line, right wing with Zada and Robrick, and awesome to see Doherty gets rewarded. He's quietly had a great little run here, and he gets another one tonight. We'll get into the scoring summary in just a little bit, but Kevin back with Loshko and Levin, and then Waslin with Gallianov as well as Aerosmith. So Aerosmith no longer kind of on that line with Robrick and Zada. They flip-flop with Doherty, deciding to go with a hot hand. Can't really blame him on that one because, again, Doherty has been so hot. They did go with an extra defenseman in Darcy to Watcher. The decor was all set outside of that with the extra defenseman. But Max Crete and Hotless on the final line as well. But I thought, again, it was very tough to pick out some positives here in this one. I think Sudbury, who was struggling quite a bit, Sudbury has been struggling. They made those kind of puzzling moves at the deadline, kind of going for it again, as opposed to going to a rebuild. This is a team that is going to have an awful couple of years upcoming. We've been through it as IceDog fans, where they kind of double down on their window, and after struggling for quite a while, they all of their big dogs ate tonight, and it looked just like the IceDogs were kind of outmatched and outclassed for a majority of it. And even Owen Flores, who's been rock solid, just has been tonight was not his night. And now we have kind of ignored the fact of we have given up a ton of goals this season, and it's because they've scored so much. But now it's kind of getting to the point where it's like, we've got a playoffs coming up. I think they need to button it up a little bit defensively.
Yeah, you'll hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau later in our Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame. He was pretty honest about just defensively they need to tighten up, and there are certain guys that aren't necessarily buying in right now, and they need to do that in order to win games. And team success brings individual success, as he's preached all season long. And you mentioned Sudbury had come in struggling. They'd lost basically 7 of their last 8 games.
And that was after acquiring, they've got Muse, which was just stunning. I believe Noah Roberts as well at the deadline.
They gave up a lot to get him.
Yeah, and they didn't sell Musty. It won't be back. A respect for going after it again, but this is a team that is probably not going to win a round. And if they do, they probably won't win 2. And just an unfortunate effort tonight on a Friday night when you finally get the Meridian Centre packed. And, a lot of these fans maybe haven't been paying attention to how good the IceDogs were. You finally get them in here, and it just lays an egg, and it was frustrating to watch because this isn't the team that we've seen, for the other 50 games.
No, absolutely, and the IceDogs have had the Wolves' number. They beat them up in Sudbury the last time, so it almost was like the Wolves were out for blood, pun intended, tonight. And it was just one of those games where Niagara came in 9 points up on Sudbury for 6th place in the conference. They were still within striking distance of the top 4 there, but now they dig themselves a bigger hole, and now Sudbury climbs 2 points closer to them. And now they're only 7 points back of Niagara.
And the first round for Niagara, if you look at the Eastern Conference, no one really sold, outside of North Bay and Ottawa, obviously. Whoever's going to get that 8 seed, kind of. 7 seed is, Brampton until they decide to just get going. Maybe they won't, but, no one is going to have an easy first round outside of maybe the team that gets the first overall seed, and maybe Sudbury, but Sudbury's got so much talent that eventually I think they'll get things going a little bit. We saw it on display tonight, but the IceDogs aren't going to have an easy matchup, and now without a home playoff, home ice, it's just, we had so much success throughout the season, and I will say, January and February, as hockey fans, hockey players, staff, everyone, they're the longest 2 months because, again, especially once the deadline's passed, you kind of know where you are and you're just playing out the season and you're waiting for the playoffs. And that's really what it's felt like a little bit recently. And we know that we gave them credit for their deadline, not acquiring anyone. This is the downfall of that, is that this season will probably end in a frustrating manner so that the future 2 years will go much better than what they would have had they gone after someone like Musty, for example, right? And it's just, this is tough because you see, Sudbury, if they don't have, Muse and the guns that they went and got, maybe this game is a little bit different because Muse had a pretty good game. And he scored, I think, 5 seconds into the game, too. I believe he was the opening scorer. So, just frustrating there. I hope things are fixed quickly. However, they have arguably the second hardest matchup coming up tomorrow night. So
yeah, they got Kitchener coming in tomorrow. Niagara was 3-1 in the season against Sudbury before this game. That makes it a little bit more frustrating.
That's the final game of the season against Sudbury?
No, they still have another one, I believe.
They have one more?
Yep. We'll get into our game stats tonight, brought to you by Gales Gas, your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. They're not just a gas station, they're a local tradition because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gales multiple locations across Niagara. Wolves outshot the IceDogs 38-34. Niagara got outshot the first 2 periods and then put a flurry on kind of in garbage time there.
Yeah.
Sudbury 1 for 4 on the power play. Niagara 0 for 5 tonight on the man advantage.
Yeah, and the penalty kill, they're lucky they didn't have more scored on because, man, Sudbury was snapping it around. Again, it's tough to critique. I think that it's because the first thing that I think of when I look at the lineup is that there's no Asadorni, no Paris, and the team looked the absolute best when those guys were in, right? So it's hard to be like, okay, you don't have your full complement of players. You didn't acquire any at the deadline, which was good. But that is the situation that they're in. And now everyone in the Eastern Conference outside of Peterborough, who is back in it, sort of, And then you have North Bay, who's always a hard out, and then Ottawa. And there's really no other games where it's like, all right, this should be 2 points, So it is not going to be easy at all. And I just hope that we don't go on that 10-game stretch, They've done a very good job of kind of stopping that when they stumble a little bit. And it's not all bad. Again, tonight was frustrating. But, they could, if they could win last year in Kitchener, they can win tomorrow.
And they had gotten points in their last 4 games and could have easily come away with the 2 points on the weekend, had leads in both those games, just unfortunate. Face-offs tonight was heavily favored for the Wolves. 44-22 were the face-off numbers for the Sudbury Wolves in their favor. And as far as the IceDogs side, Zada 9 of 22, Galliano 5 of 14, Loshko only 4 of 14, a rare off night for him on the dot, and Max Crete 1 of 4. The Wolves scored off a few face-off plays as well tonight. No,
absolutely, and yeah, it was a off night for them. I think the worst part about tonight is that, man, outside of a few flashes in the third period from Kevin, you just didn't notice really anyone. Zada, unbelievable play on Robrick's goal to get them back within 2 at the end of the first. But other than that, man, you just didn't notice anything, and that's concerning. Like, it wasn't, sometimes when the depth on this team, maybe they don't sometimes carry the weight sometimes. But the big dogs usually do every game, and we've got multiple point-per-game players, and it's just, I don't know. It was a tough night to watch.
Yeah, it was. We'll get into our scoring summary tonight, brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out our updated job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. The Wolves opened it up, Cam, 31 seconds into the game. Henry Muse with a point shot, traffic in front, and that really got the ball rolling for the Wolves. And as you mentioned, a sellout crowd here in Meridian Centre that was just dying to get in the game, and then the Wolves silenced them 30 seconds in.
Well, I'll be honest with you, like that's a shot that Flores has stopped a ton. I know it was in traffic and things like that early on in the game. They gave up a ton of shots and goals, but a ton of shots to the point where, Flores, once he gets his touches, he's usually very frustrating to beat. And it was, 10 seconds into the game, it was just a floater, really took the air out of this place, and he just never got comfortable. And, that is very rare, and I don't expect it to be the norm or anything like that, but very tough opening goal because it was just one of those ones where it's like, oof, and we haven't had a lot of those from Flores.
And then the Wolves get first their power play goal here. Kieran Walton, the Winnipeg Jets prospect, banks it off.
Unreal.
The back, really nice play behind the net just to bank it off of Owen Flores there as their penalty was expiring. But quick 2-0 lead, and then Nathan Villeneuve opens it up coming down the right wing and goes over top of Flores. Just not great coverage there by the IceDogs trying to keep him, number 89, at bay. And then right there off the bat, it's 3-0.
Yeah, and that was... It just like I said, usually when we're under siege early on in the period in the game, Flores kind of just keeps them in it, and he wasn't able to today. And the Sudbury just had an extra pep in their step. I don't know how else to describe it. Like their forecheck was fantastic. They basically kept the IceDogs to the perimeter the entire time, and their top dogs all had a very good game.
We did have one highlight late in the first period. Less than 30 seconds left in the period, by the way. You mentioned Ethan Zada finds Ryan Robrick, who literally had no room to put this puck. 35th goal of the season, team leading. Just another goal where you shake your head and wonder how number 25 was able to get that in. Again, just a rising star in this league and going to be highly touted next year. But Rubrick gets them on the board before the end of the period.
Yeah, I mean, everyone thought that it didn't go in because it hit a bar and came back out, and everyone thought it was the crossbar, and somehow he got it underneath the back bar. But to set that up, Zada's forecheck was crazy. Knocked someone off the puck and still had the wherewithal to send it out in front. That was all because of set up because of him. And obviously, there was not many people on the team that were going to be able to make that shot like Robrick did. But that play was set up because of Zada, and that was the one kind of bright spot for the team, really, in my opinion.
And then the Wolves came out early in the second period and 26 seconds in, got the fourth goal, which was really a backbreaker because if you thought the IceDogs could get within 3-1, make it 3-2 instead of 4-1. That really could have changed the game there. And then 2 more goals by the Wolves. Donovan McCoy with the insurance marker, and then Kieran Walton with his second of the game, the Winnipeg Jets prospect's 30th goal of the season. That's when Owen Flores was chased from the net, and we got to see Matthew Humphreys make another appearance.
Yeah, the Kieran Walton one looked... That was a pull the goalie moment. Flores just did not have it tonight, and again, we have not seen that very often in his career as an Ice Dog, but it was the right move to pull him. And, I'll be honest with you, we'll give the stick tap of the game a little bit later on, but spoiler alert, it's definitely going to be Humphreys. He came in a brutal spot, no warm-up. They just saw, blood in the water, and they outscored them 2-1 when he hopped in, so...
Yeah, Owen Flores played. This is 41st game.
Yeah, like I said, you can't be hard on him. You play that many games, you are bound to have a game where you are just not on, and that's the situation that they're in. I'll say this though, I bet he sees a lot less over the last few weeks if Humphreys plays like he did tonight.
Yeah, maybe he'll get a little bit more of a well-earned rest after playing so many games and being really the Ice Dogs MVP back there in the crease all season long. So it was basically out of hand at that point, but a nice goal in the third period to open it up. Kevin He gets a breakaway with his speed, goes backhand roof over Nate Krawchuk. Great pass from Callum Chanowski on the stretch pass. Kevin He's 27th goal of the year. And then Quentin Musty, really good shot off the face-off. Can't blame Matt Humphreys at all on that one. That's a first-round NHL talent type of shot from Quentin Musty, from Alex Ferrand on the face-off. And then later, with about 2 minutes left, Sean Doherty takes the pass from Andre Lashko and stays hot with his 8th point over his last 4 games. Yeah, and
the Musty goal was nasty. That was a NHL prospect shot. Humphreys didn't really have a chance at that, and that's kind of a welcome to the OHL kind of moment there. Also, we didn't get to have any shows while they were on the road, but one of the craziest saves in his first start as well. Wanted to give some props there. Humphreys, the future is bright in net, obviously. We don't know what it'll be like next year. Flores, moving on, he's an overager this year. I would suspect that we get probably a veteran to come along, but I think that there will be a couple years of Humphreys being the starter, and it was just a heck of a start. And then, like I said, tonight, there was a couple breakaways. A lot of shots through traffic. He's big. Humphreys is big. And, he's still so young, but it felt calm. It didn't feel like, every time a shot went towards the net, you kind of just, you hoped and prayed. I thought that he really did a good job in a bad situation. It's tough that the Ice Dogs didn't help out Flores, though. They really didn't until the third period when Sudbury was kind of like, ready for the next game, ready for the bus probably. But at least they showed some life in the third. And I would be willing to bet that there will be a lot of messages sent tonight and tomorrow. And if there's a few, rounds in the chamber that Ben could use to kind of get his team going, it might be time to, just because, again, you want to avoid any of these big slumps. And they've fallen quite far. They were first in the conference for 3.5 months, essentially. And now they're down to 5th, and Sudbury's chasing them. That was a 4-point swing tonight.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Matt Humphreys, great first impression through his first 2 appearances. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But Kitchener's coming in third place in the Western Conference, and they're trying to catch London there. So it's going to be another tough matchup. Doesn't get any easier tomorrow for the Niagara IceDogs. With that said, we're going to take our commercial break. We're going to come back. We're going to hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame. We'll get Cam's stick tap of the game. So stay right here. But right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Back after this.
In the Niagara region, Global Pet Foods is your destination for premium pet nutrition and caring expertise. Whether you've welcomed a new furry family member or need advice on top quality nutrition, their dedicated staff is ready to help. Discover why Global Pet Foods' lesser-known premium brands outshine the big corporate names. Their team's passion ensures your pet's health and vitality. Check out one of their locations today: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, or 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where premium brands and caring staff make the difference.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicle is in top running condition through the garage's services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers can expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers who can feel confident they'll get trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your vehicles. To find out more or to book a service, contact them today at 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, Better Jobs Ontario information, and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
Fuel up your day with Gale's Gas Bars. They're your go-to gas stations in the Niagara region. Remember, at Gale's, they're not just a gas station. They're a local tradition. Whether you're hitting the road or staying cozy at home, choose Gale's. Gale's Gas Bars provide reliable fuel that keeps you moving. Stop in for quality you can trust and service with a smile. Don't settle for less. Head to Gale's Gas Bars today, because when it comes to fuel,
You're going to Gales!
learn more at gales.ca.
This is Kevin Heath.
This is Brady Waslin.
This is Ethan Zadek.
This is Andre Loshko.
It's Owen Flores.
This is the Dog Pound Podcast.
The official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all 4 of their great Niagara region locations. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are back with you, continuing to break down the IceDogs 7-3 defeat at the hands of the Sudbury Wolves tonight in front of a sellout here in downtown St. Catharines at the Meridian Centre. Another one expected tomorrow against the Kitchener Rangers. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in live on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel and those listening the next day in your favorite on-demand audio platform. Give us a follow at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage. Cam, before we get to IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau, his post-game thoughts, again, just another tough one because the teams in front of the IceDogs, picked up points, and you mentioned the top 4 seed in the conference would be huge for this team to be able to get that home ice advantage, but right now they're currently sitting 5th kind of in that no man's land unless Sudbury, gains some more points on them, 7 points back of Niagara right now for that 6th spot. So it's like you mentioned, they've got a lot of games coming up, though, next week. They've got a Wednesday, a Friday, a Sunday, and a Monday game with Family Day, and 3 of those 4 games will be on the road. So you would hope that tomorrow a point against Kitchener would be best case scenario. Obviously a win would be nice, but given how strong they are, they can't really go on like a 3, 4, 5 game losing streak here and then set themselves behind here.
Well, I mean, honestly, the following week is kind of going to determine if they are more than likely going to be in the hunt for a first-round playoff matchup, simply because they have to play Brantford in Brantford, then here on February 16th against Brantford again. Those 2 games are probably going to determine if Brantford's going to be in the top 4 or Niagara is, or it'll, again, as long as they can keep it close, but it would put them probably out of reach if they were to lose both in that sense, because it's an 8-point swing essentially if you were to lose those, and then they also have Brampton as well. It's tough. They do have, in terms of easy games left, not easy easy in where they need to win. They do have Ottawa. They have Owen Sound, that makeup game as well, I believe. And then they have North Bay twice. So there's not a lot of, games left where, you're expecting points, and the Eastern Conference is tough.
Yeah, it is, and 4 games in 6 days coming up next week. So they got their rest this week, 4 good days of practice. Excuse me, but just the Wolves caught them tonight on the road here. Got to tip your cap to them. But we'll get to our IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau post-game interview brought to you by Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012 in honor of the late William Robert Hunter. Here's what the IceDogs head coach had to say about his team's performance tonight against the Sudbury Wolves. Well, Coach, I'm going to leave it open to you on this one. How would you assess what happened in that game tonight?
I mean, they had a game plan they executed. We had a game plan. We didn't come anywhere near it for the first 20 minutes. I mean, it was 3-0 before we could even blink. That's what happens when you start late, and you need everybody going. But it was nowhere close to being good enough. X's and O's, we weren't on the same page, which is very surprising for me. And that's the thing that I can't sit with, is an inability to buy in, and we need some guys to buy in here. So sooner or later we got started seeing some guys in the stands or butts on the bench here. That's the only way for them to understand.
How much more disappointing is it with the sellout tonight? Obviously, a great crowd, and they wanted to get going right off the bat, and Sudbury scored a few quick ones to kind of silence the crowd. Do you think that was pretty much the end of it right there? Yeah,
we talked about getting a good start. Their first shot on net, I mean, they just dumped it in, forecheck, got it back, put pucks on the net. A real simple cliche in hockey, but it works, and we had the same game plan. But you could see even on the third goal, we want to get fancy. Turn the puck over, it's in the back of our net. And we talked about getting it in behind them for weeks now, and sooner or later, I mean, we got to find a way that it's not our identity. I mean, we've given up almost 10 more goals than we've scored this year in the position that we are. I mean, that's embarrassing for me. That's tough to comprehend, and we focus on defense, and right now we're not getting it. So I mean, the message has got to change, or some guys got to start having accountability and being nailed to the bench, which is what's going to start coming here.
It looked like that in the second and third period. Coach, you gave Charlie Hotless some time on the power play and as well with the top line. Number 74 seems like he's getting better as he's continued to get more playing time.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy you want to fight for. I mean, he just buys in. You ask him to dump it in, he dumps it in. You ask him to hit, he hits. You ask him to block shots. I can live with those mistakes because he's buying in. And he does it without whining. He's never asked for anything. He does it with a smile on his face. And, Coach has got a lot of time for guys like that. And Charlie hasn't been given the time of day, really since the start of the year. He's just gone about his work ethic, and I think it's time to reward him for his hard work.
And lastly, about your goaltending, obviously pulled Flores after the 6th goal on 24 shots. Matt Humphreys came in, looked good in the relief there, 13 of 14. Not an easy situation to go into. One, how did you think he played tonight, and do you have any decision on tomorrow?
We don't have any decision on tomorrow yet. I mean, you got to kind of take some time, reflect, and look at the game tape a little bit. But, the 4 periods that he's played, I mean, he's looked calm. He looks like he's, a really good Ontario Hockey League goaltender here. So I wouldn't think twice about giving him a start.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Short and sweet tonight from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame. Cam, he did, basically say that he needs a better buy-in, better effort. He's not impressed with the overall, having given up the most goals in the league and still being where they are is pretty impressive, fifth place in the conference, but just disappointing. He wants to see more of a buy-in from top to bottom from his group.
Yeah, and he has been very good at holding his players accountable, whether they're the top end and the ones that are carrying the load sometimes. He's not shy to give them their flowers and also critique what's going on when they don't have a top end performance. And it's very interesting to hear that he's going to start maybe making some statements if guys aren't buying in and the mistakes that keep adding up that end up in the back of the net. So it'll be interesting to see over the next few weeks. Again, they got to get through this month, and then we're on to the playoff push. But it's a tough time right now, and this happens in every season for every team. But you mentioned it's not even like they've lost 10 in a row and like that. They're 4-3-4, I believe. So they're still picking up points. They haven't. It's just not what they've been accustomed to, and now that they were scoring at it, being able to outscore their problems, right? But that eventually catches up to you.
No, it does, and just he was uncommittal about The goaltender tomorrow, we'll see. Maybe it's Matt Humphreys, or
I
maybe
would bet it's Flores.
Yeah.
I would bet it's Flores.
Gives him a chance to bounce back.
Yeah, and again,
you're playing Kitchener.
Exactly, right? Like you want that's a great team, and you know that the rest of the team is going to show up at least with a better effort, regardless of how it pans out. But the rest of the team is going to have a much better performance, regardless of the much more difficult opponent in terms of standings.
Well, before we get out of here, we'll put Cam on the spot as always with our stick tap of the game, brought to you by Hockey Stick Man, Pro Stock Hockey Sticks for major junior teams right up to the NHL teams for after retail price. A stress-free shopping experience from start to finish. Check them out at hockeystickman.ca to join their mission, saving hockey families money. Cam, I think you already teased it earlier in the show, but who's your player of the game for Niagara tonight?
Definitely Matthew Humphreys. Again, did his job, came in a tough spot against a team that was firing, and he gave them a chance to at least get through the rest of the night, and he did it well. So congrats to him. He played extremely well. It's tough to feel good about performance, especially in a game like that, but he should. And I'm excited to see. I'd be willing to bet we see a few more starts this season now with him with him showing his ability so far.
Honorable mention, Charlie Hotless. Ben Boudreau talked about him being a guy that's bought in. He got some time on the power play tonight, got some time on the top line tonight later in the game when some of these other players, he decided to put them on the bench. And number 74 continues to earn opportunities. And we've seen a few flashes tonight of him just carrying the puck in, being more confident in the zone entries. And he just continues to get better and better with more opportunity.
100%. Couldn't have said it better. It's been fun to watch him this season. He had a slow start to his career so far at the beginning of the season, but lately he has definitely shown that he's an OHLer.
Picked up his first career point on a beautiful assist on Ryan Robert's goal in North Bay. So with that said, that's going to wrap up our Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara region locations. We'll be back here tomorrow night for another post-game recap against the Kitchener Rangers, another expected sellout here in downtown St. Catharines at the Meridian Centre. As far as tonight's game, Sudbury Wolves 7, Niagara IceDogs 3. For Cam Halbert, my name is Brandon Caputo. That's another game recap on the Dog Pound Podcast. Thank you to those that tuned in live on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel. Have a good night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow night.